Hey guys, Sneaky Snake here, Brothers in Arms, World of Warships. In today's video, we're going to get back into some hot and sweaty Supremacy League action. We're playing against SF Kraken Jackers. It's some domination here on the map Warriors Path, and we are currently in week 5 of 6 of the regular season for Season 5. So, we played 2 games this weekend. We defeated the Western Fleet 2-0 and then lost to SF both games 2-0 as well. And currently, as you can see here with the standings, we're sitting at 6-4. We've won every series that hasn't been against SF or OPG, but we are going to be positioned for the playoffs without any problems. We have 1 more week to go of the regular season with 2 more games, and then in 2 weeks' time, the playoffs will start. And I'll give you guys more information on that next week when I put up another Supremacy League video on Sunday. So, first of all, if you're wondering why 2 Tier 1 ships ran into each other, we had a couple of streamers in this game casting on Twitch. I will provide the link to Quadrillis' channel in the description below if you're interested in watching SL. And they have to kill themselves so then they can get into the spectator mode. Now, the reason why I'm featuring this replay is, one, well, in all honesty, it was a good game. And even though, you know, these guys have been our bugaboo for as long as I've been playing Supremacy League, this was a really, really good game. And I just wanted to share it with you guys because I know that, you know, for the regular gameplay that we post on the channel, Puddin' Spider and I, you do like to see losses every now and then. But, you know, whenever we have really good games, that sometimes you just can't, you know, do it all, at least in the public setting, random battles. But here in Supremacy League, when you lose a game that's really close, it's very frustrating. And certainly here at the beginning of the game, it wasn't giving us very warm and fuzzy feelings. You can see some dive bombers going over and dropping on Zath, but unfortunately they knocked out his engine. So they stopped all of his forward momentum going into the B cap, and now you can see that there's plenty of other enemy planes. There's some torpedo bombers coming in, and you can see the entire enemy team is shooting his way, and right there from Not Yet Dead, a massive AP salvo goes right through the nose of Zath's destroyer, the Lo Yang. And we're not even 2 minutes into the game, and we are about to lose our hydroacoustic torpedo boat, which that's about as worse of a start as you could possibly have. And to be honest with you, RNG is a fickle thing. Getting bombed in a destroyer and having your engine knocked out is very unfortunate. And the Shikaka with his torpedoes was able to finish off the job. So we're already sitting in a very big hole here, very early on into the game. And it's a bad thing because SF loves to run 3 destroyer setups, so they can afford to send 1 DD to each cap. And now, as that's exactly what they're doing, you can see a destroyer just hopped on A, and any second now a destroyer will hop on C as well. We are down 1 DD, and they are going to be contesting all 3 of the caps. So, again, the worst possible start that we could possibly have to happen. So, really quickly, I know that Chapayev is featured pretty much all the time in these Supremacy League videos because I play it exclusively, and then Spider plays it from time to time, and you can see that Spider is actually playing the Chapayev. He's just off my stern, heading over towards Charlie. Now, a little bit of tactics and strategy, I suppose, for Supremacy League. SF likes to run a Charles Martel and a Mikhail Kutuzov. They've been one of the clans, to be honest with you, that doesn't believe, per se, in using radar for their comp builds. And basically what their comp is built about is their destroyers and their carriers providing all of the spotting for their team. And they're extremely good at that, and there's no way to beat the bush there. They are very, very good with their DDs and spotting, and their carrier is very good in that regard as well. The reason why we have 2 Chapayevs is, one, because we feel that it's an effective counter, at least in theory, to 3 enemy DDs. And also the Chapayevs, you know, they have really good AA platforms as well if you spec them for AA. So it's, you know, a very, very nice platform to be able to extend your AA out to 7.2 kilometers and be able to deal damage. Now, one of the other reasons why I wanted to show you this replay is there's going to be a couple of occasions where I'm able to utilize stealth firing during this replay, specifically it shooting at enemy battleships. Now, obviously, stealth firing was changed a long time ago, but now there's also the new smoke mechanic changes to deal with as well. And in the Chapayev's case, 6.66 is the detectability when you're shooting in smoke. Now, I like to roam around to my Chapayev, so I can't always, you know, rely on somebody providing a smoke screen for me. So that number doesn't necessarily pertain pertain to me as much as something like the air detectability when you're shooting. Now with the Chapayev, it's around 9.4, 9.5. And the reason why this is important is that those lone scouting planes that like to circle around ships, everybody, of course, at least cruiser-wise and battleship-wise, well, I guess I shouldn't say everybody, but most people bring fighter or spot planes. You know, they fly around around your ship, and they obviously are able to extend the eyes, per se, of the enemy ship. And the reason why it's very important to know those numbers is because you can put yourself in a position where you're able to stealth fire over an island without any enemy ship having line of sight, but if there's a plane that's in the area, it can still detect you. Now you can see here my three buddies are going over through Charlie. The plan that we had was to try to push through, and luckily for us, the enemy team decided to make a more heavy and aggressive push over to the western side of the map at A and B. So they told me, hey Sneaky, we're going to need you over here to come help push through C. So I am happily obliging and making my way over there as well. Now, of course, with the Chapayev, IFHE rules the day when it comes to captain skill points to use on this thing. It turns these 152mm guns into absolute terrifying DPM monsters, considering that going through 32mm armor is no problemo when you have IFHE equipped. And you can see the very nice damage, 5 pens right there on the North Cow. Shooting at a North Cow is a very enticing proposition in the ship because there's so much superstructure for the shells to hit, and there's so much penetration to be had when you're hitting that part of the vessel. So very nice stuff right there. And then of course it also has a pretty decent fire chance to boot, as I managed to land a double fire on the North Cow, and he is going to definitely use his repair party in that this situation. Now at this point the enemy team has continued to pile on the points. It's 288 to 526. However, finally we get a destroyer on Bravo, and of course, just as I move away from B and I'm not able to provide radar or fire coverage over there, Colonel Sanders in his Benson makes his way on and he starts to shoot at the Harakazi, but he's a smart player. He knows that the Harakazi can outspot him, so he immediately turns away. So with that being the case, Ryuo is going to be able to get the B cap unless intervened by some enemy aircraft. Now you can see here my buddy Mega and Spider, they at this point are going to continue their push around the side of Charlie, and they're going to make a right hook and try to move around. So we'll have basically a crescent shape push to the west around objective Bravo. And being able to do that is very important because you're able to shoot at many, many different angles, and it's impossible for the other ships to be able to angle effectively to all of the shells that would be coming in at them. Now, one quick thing to note here, this play that I'm making is something that I would normally not do. The Chapayev, of course, has its one big Achilles weakness with its 890-meter turning circle. And the reason why that is very bad is because when you're in close quarters combat with all these islands and whatnot, well, honestly, you don't even need to be in combat. When you're just maneuvering around in the islands, you have to be very delicate. And that's actually going to be my downfall later on in this game. And it's going to be a teaching point that I want to show you guys definitely. So let's see here. At this point, you can see all the way up at B1, we have a friendly Amagi. He was sent over there, Wrath, to be a distraction and just try to pull all the enemy ships away and survive as long as possible. And survivability builds generally are the way to go in Supremacy League because, the amount of HE spam that comes from cruisers, so you want to be able to utilize your repairs, have fire prevention on, and all that good stuff. You can also see some enemy planes are coming in, and very mistakenly, I pressed the Y key, which for me is radar instead of defensive fire. So the torpedo planes are going to come in and drop on Rob, but at this point it didn't really matter anyway because Rob had his defensive AA up on his Benson regardless of that. Now what you're seeing right here is me getting some shots over the island at Not Yet Dead in his North Cow. Now of course I'm still detected by the planes because those dive bombers are only 8.5 kilometers away. So yeah, I'm going to continue to be spotted by this guy. And you can also see as I do go undetected finally as the bombers move out of the way, I am now relatively comfortable. You can see I'm using all these islands to shield myself from incoming rounds from the North Cal. The only ship that could really get effective shots at me right now is the Amagi, but he's too worried about the Chapayev and the Amagi on our team chasing him down. So at this point, I'm pretty safe. But regardless of that, my buddy Rob decides to lay me a smokescreen just in case. I did ask for it, and he happily obliged. And now I have my defensive AA up. We made a nice little 1-2 punch there right with it. And you can see those dive bombers are certainly not going to be able to get in and take us down. And my AA was able to take care of the entire squadron. You can also see my buddy Tug in the Shokaku bringing some fighters over the B cap as well. And what we're trying to do is push this enemy destroyer that was over here away as far as possible. And that's exactly what happened. You see that, what is it, Colonel Sanders, yes, he had to get pushed out of the cap. So with that being said, we're now going to finally start being able to capture this objective. We're still losing 399 to 658, and I mistakenly drifted out of the smoke screen, so I had to keep my AA going, but luckily my AA was able to take care of those enemy fighters. Now, I'm actually in a very big predicament. You can see here I'm trying to dodge these torpedoes, but since this thing takes so long to turn, one, I'm not even sure if I'm going to be able to dodge this, and I'm also about ready to run into the island in front of me. So what I'm doing right now is I'm slowing down to a full stop and going to go in reverse. Now, you can see those fighters that are over there 9.6 kilometers away. I potentially could get detected by them, but at this point, I don't. And because of this, I'm able to, retreat. I'm able to back up inside of this smoke screen. Now, I'll be honest with you, I'm not 100% sure why those planes at 9.1 kilometers did not detect me. Maybe it's because there's the smoke screen that's off my aft end. I honestly don't know why I didn't get spotted there, but hey, regardless of that, I'm going to move back into the smoke screen. And now, like I said, that I know that my detectability when firing in smoke is 6.66, I have nothing to worry about when I open up some shells here on Rhino. And he is their best destroyer player. However, you can see my buddy Spider is getting some good shots at him. And now I am going to try and secure this kill. However, right as I pop my radar, I wasn't expecting Megadu's shells to go in there, but nonetheless, we managed to secure the kill. But I do spot Colonel Sanders, and it did appear he was trying to move around that island. So because of that, he's not going to be able to get in and try to contest Bravo. Now you can see here we have two destroyers in B. Shin behind me in the North Gal is chilling right next to the island, and he's keeping that island on his right side to be able to shield him from any potential shots coming in from Alpha. You can see Wrath up at A2 is still alive, doing a fantastic job of dating him out and surviving as long as possible. And now here, folks, is the big teaching point that I'm trying to show with this video. You can see that I did not get detected. Now, of course, the enemy is going to move his bombers and torpedo planes to the western side of Bravo, but I'm far enough away from the cap where I'm not going to get detected at the moment. Now, you can see here I have more than half of the ship behind the island for the North Carolina and the entirety of the ship behind the islands off to my right while I'm shooting at Professional Noob. And when you get a Chapayev or a Mikhail Kutuzov for that matter shooting non-stop at you with IFHE, well, yeah, you can see how fast Professional Noob is losing his hit points. There's really nothing that he can do about it at all. As I land yet another fire on the stern of his ship. Some very good stuff right there. However, you can also see Colonel Sanders. The reason why I was angled away like this is because if the Benson did pop around the island that's off to my right, then I would just immediately speed forward and go back in towards Charlie and then wheel myself back around. The next salvo that goes in on Noob manages to light the fire. His fate has been secured. He's down to 500 hit points, and any second now he will be going down. And there we go. My fire takes care of business, and now I'm switching my focus over to the North Carolina. And once again, I am able to shoot at this guy completely undetected, using the islands as hard cover to protect me from line of sight visual. And you're going to see here, right here, I'm going to draw this line for you on the screen. Or actually, never mind, my cursor doesn't appear, but about 3/4 of my Chapayev is behind the edge of the island, so I am A-okay to shoot at this guy. He also got hit by a torpedo, which is very bad, so he had to use his damage control. Now, the reason why I got spotted right there, you can see that there's a Charles Martel moving over around Delta 5, and as I shoot my next salvo, I do get detected. And I'm going to go into free cam any second now and show you why. You can see the Charles Martel spots me for just a second, but then I'm going to go undetected once again as he continues to speed his way through. So I continue to get more damage and this rate of fire that's fantastic on Not Yet Dead. And he is also going to not be able to get out of the way. Shin sends around a salvo his way. I light a fire on the rear section of his ship, and then there we go. It appears a Citadel or some very nice penetration damage occurs on that guy. Some of the shells did make it over the island. I do hit at the stern of the ship. He continues to burn for me. He's sitting at 531 hit points, and with that being said, I take out my second battleship of the game. I'm up to 68,000 points of damage, and now I'm getting some more stealth fire over the edge of the island at the Kutuzov, who is taking some hits as well. So we are certainly going to try to focus this guy down. You can also see Colonel Sanders is not able to get back to the cap, but our destroyers are not sitting at a very healthy amount of hit points at the moment. So I did say in chat right now, like, hey guys, you got to be very careful in dealing with that Benson because his hit points out, or he has more hit points than both you guys combined, or at least he did. Colonel Sanders is at about 10,000 hit points, but you can see Pieces of Pizza in his Charles Martel is making his way around and trying to get on the backside of Shin, who has now moved and put the island to his right, where he's not going to be able to get shot at from Achilles or Pieces of Pizza. Now, of course, I'm already ready for this, and I will be detected as soon as he comes around the corner, but I have the armor-piercing shot ready, and this is going to be the last big teaching point of this replay. Right as I get detected, he gets detected immediately as well, and I get a nice salvo off of armor piercing at him. You can see the shells flying right in. If I was in a cruiser with 203mm guns, I would have been able to do much more damage. However, at this point, I continue to shoot the AP. I do knock out his engine, And he is not running last stand, and honestly, it's something that I don't do on my San Luis anyway. Now you're going to see here, this is the big mistake that I make, and honestly, I'll be frank to admit it, this is what probably cost us the game. You can see here that the angle that I'm at, 4,900 damage. I need to angle back a little bit to the left, and the Chapayev has a wonderful angle to be able to shoot over the shoulder, which means, excuse me, shooting back over. You can see there, I bounce all the shells. This angle that I'm at right here is absolutely perfect, and I'm about to beach as Mega kills the Kutuzov, so we're sitting very, very good right here. We've killed 4 ships to the enemy's 2. And then I make a huge mistake. I try not to run aground, and I open up way too much broadside and eat shit for about 15,000 damage. An absolutely retarded play that I make, and there's really no way to beat around the bush. That's exactly what happened. He also gets another Citadel on me, and yeah, his AP is just peppering me. He just finally is able to repair his engine, even though I've been able to do a very large amount of damage. Achilles takes out Spider in the Chapayev, and I'm about to go down here as well. And I do set a fire on pieces of pizza. He's down to 7,000 hit points. You can see Tug is taking his torpedo planes in to try to take care of business. We still have the lead here, 853 to 714, so we're still sitting okay. And if we get this Charles Martel taken care of, we're pretty much going to be able to win this game without too much more of an issue. And as I do go undetected, he gets one last salvo out. The shells hit me in the superstructure, and I kick the bucket. So that angle right there, the Chapayev has 100 millimeters of belt armor, and just the game of inches, man. Opening up my angle just a slight bit too much. And there you have it. And I kick the bucket. You can see the Hirakazi Merrills is going to make a big dick play right here. He's coming right around the island. Shin shoots his forward guns at the Charles Martel. Unfortunately, his middle turret does not hit. It was just a bit short. He's now trying to swing his rear turret into play to take care of business. You can see Merrills is making this big play right here. He's also shooting at the 2 friendly destroyers that are behind me, which is not a very good thing. Shin gets his rear guns shooting at the Martel. He manages to take care of business. Merrills, though, is going to torpedo Shin here, very unfortunately. And also, Rob only had about 3,000 hit points, so he's actually going to get a very nice double strike right here. And now the Hirakazi, commanded by Ryuho, is shooting at this guy, and he's only on 3,000 hit points, and you'd think he might be able to win this engagement, but the build that Ryo has is not a damage-dealing build. It's an AA build. So unfortunately, when the Hirakazi angles like that, his AP, or excuse me, his HE is not able to take care of business. Merrills picks up his 3rd kill in about 20 seconds, and we go on to lose this game here on Warrior's Path. Alrighty guys, taking a look now at the post-battle results, 103,000 damage dealt, a very nice total for competitive, to be honest with you. Off of 192 shell hits, I shot down 12 planes, destroyed 2 battleships, the Amagi and the North Cal, and I also had 7 fires and 2 citadels. Taking a look at the team score, I had 2 kills, Shin had 1 kill, Mega had 2, and for the other side, for SF, a very, very nice job by Merrills, getting 3 kills and pieces of pizza with the 2. Again, in all honesty, I potatoed right there. And there's really no other way to put it. And that's what happens when your mind starts racing, and that's what happens when you start getting stressed out and the game's getting all tight. And I thought I played that about as perfectly as possible. Something I also forgot to mention is I put that middle island in B close enough to me where that Amagi, I believe by Achilles, was not able to shoot over at me. So it was only a 1v1 there versus pieces of pizza. And that's where 2 of 3 guns, 203 millimeter AP that is honestly better than the Chapayev. Because that angle that I was at, if he was in, I should say, a Mikhail Kutuzov or a Chapayev, chances are he wouldn't have been able to Citadel me at that, but those 2 of 3 certainly have much more penetration, and I paid for it. So a very nice play by him, a very bad play by me, and this game ended up going in SF's favor. So with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this replay. Again, we got more Supremacy League content coming up next Sunday, so stick around for that, of course. And again, with that being said, and I do say that a lot, with that being said, that must be my catch slogan, I guess. I don't know. Please consider giving the video a like, commenting on it, or possibly subscribing to the channel. All of it is very much appreciated. And guys and gals, as always, have a great day.